This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everybody. We're about to begin a usual meeting that's on Thursday night, but held on this Friday. So this is all by our heads for prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together again to do the business of the county, to lead us in the direction that you want to go. We know that we are all here for the benefit of all of them in the county, to just bring this thing together and make this the best county in the state. We thank you for these blessings and many others. Amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Mr. Steve, I'm jumping the gun. We have a proposed agenda before you. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
I second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor by the show of hands. Okay, that motion, that carries. Our old minutes were email and mail. I actually got my minutes on time yesterday. Normally I get them when the meeting is over with, but I got them yesterday, and we having the meeting today. So that would yeah. So we have do we have a motion on the floor, or did we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay then.
Second motion.
Okay, it has been motion and second. All in favor by the show of hands. Okay, that motion carries. Mr. Steve is on you now.
All right, sir. You should have a copy of the financial report for the month of August. Take it, look at it. Got any questions, we'll be glad to try to answer them. It's that time of year where money's getting tight, but we haven't had to dip into our reserve account yet. So hopefully we can make it through September without dipping into it. Item number 3, there's a vacancy on the DFACS board. Are there any nominations? Hearing none, we'll move along. Item number 4, there's a vacancy on the Board of Elections and registration. Is there any nominations? Hearing none, we'll move along. Item number 5, the budget. We'll schedule to officially adopt the fiscal year 24-25 budget at our October 3rd meeting after a public hearing at 9:30 that morning. That's our first meeting in October. Currently being advertised in the paper, so we'll keep that on the agenda for next meeting. Item number 6, Georgia Department of Transportation is accepting applications for funding from the FY 2025 LMIG program. Applications must be received by February the 1st of next year. Dooley County is eligible for $733,811, and a 10% local match is required. We need to work on coming up with our list of projects for that in the very short-term future. Item number 7, we got a public hearing scheduled today on the 2024 property tax millage rate, so we'll need to skip that for right now, come back to it. Number 8 on the agenda, the ACCG GMA are hosting a joint training session on October the 1st in Tifton on House Bill 581. This is the legislation that passed during the 2024 Georgia General Assembly, and if approved by the voters, will result in significant changes to property and local sales tax systems. So, currently, Vice Chairman Kaysen, Commissioner Mixon, and myself are registered to attend the meeting in October. There will be an online webinar will be available later in the month, October the 16th at 1 p.m. Anybody that's unable to make the meeting in Tifton and would like to watch the webinar, we'll have it available here in the conference room if anybody would like to come and watch that.
Robinson was at, wasn't it?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Commissioner Robinson was also got registered for the Tifton meeting on October 1st. Thank you. And item number 9, the ACCG has scheduled their 2024 fall districts meetings. Dooley County is in District 8, and the District 8 fall meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, October the 30th in Stewart County. And who all is have you registered for that, Linda?
Yes, Mixon and Kaysen and yourself.
Okay. If anybody else would like to attend, let Linda know and she'll get you registered. Okay, item number 10, Waste Management has prepared a draft contract for the residential and commercial garbage collection service beginning next year, January 1. We're currently reviewing that. I've got a couple items I want to run by the county attorney before we approve the contract, so we'll keep that on the agenda and circle back around to that.
Well, I'm gonna ask a question to Steve.
Yes, sir.
So they're using a combination of trucks now? I'm talking about what I mean by that. That no man on the back and one with a man on the back. I've been seeing the old system back out there working too.
I'm not sure what trucks they've got running in the county right now.
Mm.
Looks like in the cities, they're running I know in Unadilla, they're running the manned.
Mm-hmm. I'm saying the man, they're
They're grabbing from both sides at one time instead of having to make the
Mhm.
turn. That's what I've seen.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. Item number 11's we're having a public hearing on a zoning request at 9:30 this morning, so we'll circle back around to that. Oops. Item number 12, Tax Commissioner Paula Smith requests an updated contract with the City of Ina. Back in effective January 1 of 21, she entered into the Tax Commissioner Paula Smith, the City of Ina, and the Dooley County Commissioners executed an intergovernmental contract authorizing the Tax Commissioner to collect property taxes for the City of Ina. And the initial contract, under that contract, the Tax Commissioner agreed to prepare the tax digest for the city and assess and collect the municipal taxes in the same manner as county taxes. The city agreed to appoint the Tax Commissioner as ex officio tax collector, pay $2 per parcel for the Tax Commissioner doing the service, and agreed to set their millage rate by August the 1st of each collection year. And then last year, the city paid a total of $2,986 to the, or they had 1,403 parcels that were billed for, so at $2. She's requesting that the contract be amended to increase the cost per parcel to $2.75. The city's already signed off on it, and she's asking the county to approve signing off on the contract. Is there any questions, comments?
I thought she was a constitutional officer. I mean, we have to go along with the decision that she make on that with the Since she contracted
When the
herself.
agreement got drawn up now,
Yes, she's a constitutional officer, but she's using the resources of the county that are allowed to her under the Constitution.
Oh,
And
okay.
since it goes back and forth,
Mhm.
it's no different than when the sheriff had an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Unadilla. It required this body to actually be the one that did it.
Mhm.
And so that's where that's coming from. Now, as far as the rates go, what she adopted the rate that had been in there with Ms. Mixon, and Ms. Mixon got it, and it was several years old. I think she got it out of Worth County. And what she's done is she's looked at different places. She did all this. I provided her the templates from when we did it before,
Mhm.
and she did an averaging and went around and found other jurisdictions that where this had been increased, because probably the $2 was probably about 20 years ago. Whenever the statute first went in, there was nothing in the statute that said how much you collect, and it was just sort of, I mean, it may have been added, I don't know, but it was basically kind of what everybody wanted to do. And so this is sort of a cost of living increase on this. And now they've been living with this in the tax office. They took if you look at 75 cents, it's how much a year, the whole thing?
last year the city paid
Right at 3,000.
$3,000.
Okay. City's gonna pay another $1,000 on top of that? That is a drop in the bucket versus what the taxpayers of Dooley County who are residents of the city of Vienna would have to pay if they had to send someone to training to do all that. So it's sort of a joint services thing as well.
Mhm.
That's where the county gets involved. We can't make her do it, but if she wants to do it, we pretty much need to let her do it.
Mhm.
You could vote against it, but I mean, I don't know if that's gonna be beneficial to this. If the citizens of Vienna, as it's been presented, already want it, she said that they voted on to approve it, right?
Yes, they've already signed it.
Your vote would be in effect against the elected officials of the city of Vienna, I suppose.
Right,
I don't know. I
okay.
mean, I'm not trying to get political. I'm just saying that's where that stands.
Compare this to the Unadilla contract. This is paid to the county or to the individual officer?
Under the statute, it goes to the officer.
There's no sharing for the resources.
I don't believe so. And the theory behind that is that the taxpayers of the county who reside in a municipality, whether it be Leesburg and Lee County or, Perry and Houston County, that you're already paying for that service of a tax commissioner. And there's actually statutory law that says that we the county can't charge the cities for their portion of the digest because we already have to do the same function. This is a nominal cost per transaction to cover the additional postage cost, I suppose, and any additional to defray it. Now, it does go to the tax commissioner. Very clear on that. That's what we went over when Ms. Mixon was in that position, is it was, it inures to their benefit. And I think they've all been kind of shy to ask for it. Now, there's another one of these that floats around regarding probate judges. My sister, who is a probate judge, has gotten into this with Lee County, is that there's vital records money. There's not a lot of it in Dooley County because we don't have a hospital here, and we have one or two funeral homes, maybe three. But in a place like Dougherty County, where there's a hospital where all the births in the region are, and where there's like 10, 15 funeral homes, those fees on death certificates and birth certificates and copies of them years later, those add up. And there's a provision that that at a minimum, a constitutional officer, probate judge, if they have vital records, some of them have vital records in places like Sumter County, the health department has it. But if the probate judge has it as a constitutional officer, that judge is entitled by statute to receive at a minimum $7,500, and they can negotiate up of those fees. And so, there's a provision still that these holdovers that we kind of have qualms with that you're raising. I mean, not that you have a problem with it, but just the question. They hold over from when in Georgia we had a fee system for our constitutional officers. You paid a fee for everything, and then they've done away with that for the most part, but some of the old laws like that, still that thought process creeps in.
I think it's a great way to continue consolidation of services and not force it on more on the city taxpayers. So if you need a motion, I'll make a motion. Sir.
It's been motion and second?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, it's been motion and second. Do we have any other discussion on it before we vote on it? If not, all in favor by the show of hands, that motion carries.
Is that the only city that does that?
She also does the town environment, but
That thing, yeah.
she's in the process of updating their contract as well.
And I think she's negotiating with Unadilla or was presenting something to them. I don't know about that. And I think she was, Dooley, I think, had expressed an interest from what she said.
Who would do the tax sales for them?
I guess she would if that was, I think that's part of the contract. If she puts that in there or doesn't put that in there, that would be a separate item. This is just for billing and collecting.
Mr. Gravel?
Yes. Morning.
Good
morning.
All right, the reason I'm here, you know, I'm on the zoning board. Been on that 16 years. But here lately, since I won't go along with mistreating folk for their inspector, he won't even let me know when to meet for the zoning board. He won't let me know nothing. But he gonna tell y'all lies that he put it on my phone. But he didn't. See, I might be a fool, but I'm my own fool. You understand? And another thing, what I want y'all to do is, if you want me to get off the zoning board, fill out a sheet. And why you want me to get off the zoning board? And I sign him, cause I'm tired of him. See, he goes out, tell people, don't let him do this. Don't let him do that. I don't need to do it now. Jesus sent me a ram in the bush. And I ain't pulled him out yet. He can't hurt me now. But I'm gonna do it right, like that lady down there, man down there at Camp Haven. When he wanted to do him, and he got mad at me about that. I ain't finna let you sit up and lie on folks, and I know it wrong. Now I'm the one got to face Jesus with that. If I let him treat you wrong. But see, we need to get rid of him. I don't know why he come from. I asked y'all for his resume, you wouldn't give it to me. So if you want me off, fill out a paper, give it to Steve, and I sign it and get off. Cause me and him ain't gonna make it. Cause I'm not gonna get up and lie on nobody now. I ain't lying for my children, nobody else's children. Cause I got to go to Jesus for me. He got to go for him. So what y'all wanted me to do?
Well, I don't know who you got the other part of your information about wanting to get off the board there, but I think
Well,
that's
he
something.
won't. How I'm gonna come to a meeting and don't know?
Yeah.
Now I was over to the city hall to that meeting. Come by here, they having a meeting. I don't even know nothing about it. So I went in. So I sat in, but I sat by there. And see, he don't want to recognize me as vice chairman. See, me and him ain't gonna get along. See, he wants somebody to be scared of him, but I'm not scared of him. I ain't scared of nobody. As long as they walk on 2 foot. Come to me like a man, I'm gonna treat you like a man. I'm not gonna disrespect you, and you're not gonna disrespect me. That's the whole 10 yards of it. Everywhere I go, I'm not gonna disrespect you till you cross me. But when you push that button, the truck finna crank. Nah, y'all just tell me what you want me to do, and I do it. Now, I've been on that 16 year when he come in. I don't know why Steve went and got him that claim from. But get him off my back. He can't hurt me now. I've been to the mountaintop. I done looked over and seen Glory Land with that ram in the bush Jesus gave me.
All right.
Now, tell me what to do and I'll get him get out of here.
We'll be getting back with you.
Huh?
We'll be getting back with you. That's not a decision we finna make right now.
Thank you, sir.
Uh-huh.
It's not quite time for the 9:30 public hearing. I think we got one other item on the agenda. EMS Director Don Williford is inquiring, request authority to order a new ambulance. Currently, we have 4 ambulances in service. Got a 2012, a 2016, a 2018, and a 2022. And just to show you the difference, a type 1, and we got what they call two type 1s, and we got 2 what they call type 2s. And just to
Truck versus van.
type 1 is basically a truck with an ambulance body on the back. Type 2 is a van type ambulance. We experimented with the vans because they were cheaper, but there's a lot less room in the back for the EMTs and everything, so I think they want to go back to the type 1 type ambulances.
No, wait. When we got into that, they told us there was exactly the same amount of room in there. And they told us that. I'm just saying.
Mhm. I never did buy that nowhere.
Just,
I never. I mean, you know,
You
You
can't
can
have
look
a
at it.
single axle rear and a dually rear and think
they're gonna be the same.
We currently,
that's what they said.
back in December of 2022, almost 2 years ago, we ordered a new Type 1 ambulance. The cost of $219,835. As of this past July, it still had not been delivered. Don called and checked on the status of it, and they project the delivery to be May of next year.
They're too old, eh?
But now it'll be, yeah, what year model is it?
They're waiting on the chassis is what they're waiting, is what Don's telling me is the holdup. So,
So they're gonna have the updated, cause you know when you buy something, it's already, you know, old when you buy it, all the new technology and all that kind of stuff. So now we getting what 2 years down the road, folks.
I'm just telling you what, I don't know when I don't know that, I'm assuming the body they're gonna put on it is not gonna be 2 years old. It's gonna be,
Mhm.
but I don't know. He's got another quote for another one, a new Type 1 ambulance. The cost has gone from $219,000 to $250,000. They estimate the delivery to be 18 to 24 months. The quote he's got is good through October the 7th. So I'm not asking for any decision today, because we'll have another board meeting before October the 7th.
That comes out of SPLOST, that comes out of the SPLOST accounts.
It's eligible to be paid out of SPLOST, yes.
Is the first one paid for yet?
No,
We'll pay for that when we receive it.
we have requested special appropriation through Congressman Bishop's office in next federal fiscal year. We've cleared the first hurdle, but the budget's not even been, the federal budget is an October to September fiscal year, so they haven't approved next year's budget yet, so we don't know if it's still in the budget or not. And we are trying to go through USDA for a grant/loan program to maybe come up with some grant money and or some low interest loans to help finance this, but there's quite a bit of
Yeah, but
bureaucracy involved in that.
You did the representative from the office, didn't she mention that the other day when we was up there?
Yeah, she feels really good about it.
Mhm. The way she mentioned
We're,
it.
we're in there for some amount, it's just depending, he has 15 requests that he normally gets each year from the feds, and the amount of money he gets will determine the amount of money. It may not be the entire amount, but, we feel good about, an amount of money will be coming towards this request.
Okay, so we'll keep that on the agenda for next meeting. Okay. So the next item, with the next public hearing is at 9:30. It's not quite 9:30 yet. It's between one things in there. Okay. All right. We just got to kill it. Glenn, would you come on up? We'll let him go ahead and give us the background of this zoning request.
Robinson's here. You want them to sit here and live with him?
Not yet.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
You take one of those and pass it around. I guess sort of give us the background on the zoning request.
Randall and Barbara Robinson contacted me about getting a address so that they could run some services out to their property. And upon that, I went out to the location and discovered they have a hunting camp set up. And this is an R2 residential area. They've owned it, I believe, since 2018, if I'm not mistaken. And they've been using it as hunting grounds, over 200 acres of multiple properties off of Campers Haven Road. And so when I saw what they wanted to do and the way that they're using it, I said, we need to rezone this to agricultural for hunting camps that you're wanting to put in here to actively use it as, because residential does not have that in the description. That's the proper use of the property. And they were happy to do so. They then proceeded to do everything I asked. They applied for application, and we had the meeting. And how much further am I going to go? The result of the meeting?
Yeah, go ahead.
The result of the meeting, we had 5 residents that came to speak in the meeting. The 5 residents, their primary concern was stray gunfire because they felt like their houses were close to the property, and they were concerned about high power rifles hitting their homes and such. And one of the planning commissioners, Mac Jordan, made a suggestion, said, well, what if we give you a buffer, like 150 yard? And it's all heavily wooded, so that would be a good buffer. They were open to that, and that was the recommendation that was presented and voted. We had 7 planning commissioners in attendance, and 6 of them approved. One of them abstained from voting. He didn't give a reason why. And so with that, they made the recommendation to approve the rezoning to ag because the use is going to be primarily hunting, and with the condition of 150 yard buffer that'll be clearly marked on trees, so they won't use any high powered rifles beyond that 150 foot buffer, but they would be allowed to use shotgun and archery in that area. And so that's where we're at the present time.
So the buffer is the buffer is 150 yards.
150 foot. Did I say yards?
You said yards.
I apologize.
But the minutes say 150 feet.
Yeah, it's 150 feet. I apologize. I misspoke.
Pull that up on the map. Does is it currently, has it been hunted prior to this?
It has been hunted.
For how long?
Long as it was hunted before they got it, and when they got it, they just continued hunting with it. Since they were setting up hunting camps rather than residential housing, we had to rezone it because you can't have hunting camps in a residential area, and that's residential. It's presently zoned R2.
hunting camp they're renting out, hunting camp they're using for personal use?
I didn't understand the question.
Personal use, renting out?
Yeah, no, for their family. And he, the Robinson said, this is only for my family. I'm not bringing in a bunch of people. And then he said they have seen other people hunting on their property that they did not invite. So they can't regulate, they can put up no trespassing, but there has been hunting. In fact, they had one of the residents call me that live on Campers Haven. And they said they went to the back of their property the first time. They said they got 2 deer stands in their property they didn't even know about, that somebody had put up. So it's not necessarily the people that's using the property in the back, it's people that are going on there that may not be invited. So the 150-yard buffer would give them the security that they
150
would.
foot.
I did it again, thank you. 150 foot. I apologize. 150 foot would give them the security they felt would be good. Because most of the houses are at the front of the property and they're 3 to 5 acre lots, so they're way back. And then an additional 150 foot on the back of that, they would mark it off with some type of marking. And they're happy to have me go and verify it once they get it and go forward.
Okay. It's time to have the public hearing now. Let me go turn this microphone on over here.
Mr. Eugene, is it true Buddy Pruitt used to have that?
Okay, it's time we're conducting a public hearing on the rezoning request as just was discussed. Is there anybody here to speak in favor of the rezoning request?
The Robinsons.
Would y'all like to speak? If you would, if you want to speak, if you would come up to the stand, state your name and your address, and you'll have 3 minutes to make your comments.
So my name is Randy Robinson. I appreciate you having us here. My wife, Bobby Robinson. When you say state your address, are you referring to where we live?
Yes,
Address? Okay.
yes.
So my address is 8857 Southwest 8th Avenue, Gainesville, Florida, 32607.
Okay.
And we are here today as for request to change the property to ag. We're also here to introduce ourselves, that anybody that's here can meet us and talk to us and ask us any questions. We've had the property for several years. Not all of the property we've had for several years we've bought. 2 or 3 different properties at different times that then wind up accumulating to roughly 200 acres. And most of the property, there's a lot of the property that is in the low wetlands, and we love the property, we respect the property, we respect people around us. We're very conscientious about what we do, both keeping up the property, keeping along the roadside. We try to keep trash and stuff picked up when we're up here. And primary, it's my wife and I, and we have my son, my daughter-in-law, and 3 grandsons. And that was one of the motives that my wife and I bought the property, so that we could have time to spend with our family. Something that I grew up doing as a kid, spending time with my grandfather. And my grandsons, when they're up here, one of them doesn't really particularly like to hunt, but the other 2 do. And we, either my son or myself will sit in the tree stand with my grandsons when they do hunt. We typically come up 2 or 3 times during the hunting season, but we also enjoy coming up and just being on the property. We've got fairly good road systems, but we work hard to keep up with the road systems throughout the property. But with that being said, I just mainly wanted to introduce my wife and myself.
If I can make one comment, one of the concerns that we heard from the area residents was the idea of a hunting camp and bringing outsiders into our camp. And that was never our intentions. It's strictly for us, our private family, never intending to bring outsiders in on the property. So strictly for our family's benefit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, reset. Is there anybody else to speak in favor? Okay. Is there anybody that would like to speak in opposition to the rezoning? Would, Pam, would come up, state your name and your address, please.
Pam Mullis, 1000 Drake Loop Road, Vienna, Georgia. And nice to meet y'all. Nothing against you. I own the campground down there, the big campground, and we have neighbors. All our neighbors pretty much surround that property. I mean, the only really open shot would be the sod farm that heads out to River Road. The rest of it's got people all along their property line, pretty much. A church, all back down along the property line. My thing is, they have family, but their children, I don't know how old the grandchildren are, but as they get older, they're gonna wanna bring friends. And of course, it has been hunted. Mr. Billy Jacobs owns part of that property close to them. He's, what, almost 80 now. He's been hunting it since he's been there all his life. So he's had it, but, you know, he knows where to shoot. There's, of course, probably 2 people they're talking about that have put stands that they don't belong there, that, you know, somebody went in there and snuck it in there. But I know one other man that's hunted it. He knows the area. There's not like been a lot of people in there hunting. And who's to say that if he decides later on he wants to change this to a hunting club, he can do that once it's changed over to that. He can bring other people in there. So if you lived right here and his hunting property is right here, would you want to be out in your yard? We've already had bullets whiz by, maybe not by them, but whiz by and went into a home, you know, and that property is directly across from their property. So I don't know what else to say, but, you know, it just scares me to think that we're going to be down there out in our yards. And I have 40 campers in my campground, and they're right across from that property. So I really don't know what to say about that, other than if they decide to one day change that and make that a hunting property, they can do that. They can have a club and have people from Florida or wherever they want to come in and say, oh, we're going to hunt, but we don't know where the neighbors live, but they're everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else want to speak in opposition? Would please come up, state your name and your address.
Joey Lloyd, 1764 Campers Haven Road.
Okay.
Okay, my concern, he got another property, I don't know if this is included with it. It's right in my front yard. I have grandkids playing out there. And another concern, you riding by, they in a car on Campers Haven Road, and you got a lot of people riding side by side in golf carts. 150 feet ain't gonna stop at 22. All right. What's gonna happen? They shoot that way and kill somebody, a young'un or somebody. And you got that church right there hunting on Sunday, which that don't exist no more, about the hunting and shooting a gun on Sunday, was left up to y'all, the county ordinance. Who won't sit in a church with their kids and gunfire and going off shooting at a deer? You know, there's a lot against this, and I'm against it. And like I say, I live in the back corner back there, and my neighbor has got a bullet hole in her post that has come off from that property. So it's up to y'all, but I think y'all are wrong if you approve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to speak in opposition? Going once, going twice. All right. There being no further public comments, we will close the public hearing. It's 9:39 a.m. All right, Mr. Chairman, the floor is open for discussion.
I have a couple of questions, just in generalities. I know this is not about this particular property, but just others. Where's the You said that this is zoned, all these parcels are currently zoned R2.
Yes, if,
Where's the
Steve,
residence?
could you turn on the zoning for that?
All right, what's your question?
Where's the house?
Which
The-
house?
Where's the residence that goes with these parcels?
Okay, right there is where they have their hunting camp. It's a 1 acre parcel. All of the houses that are on Campers Haven are down toward the lower part, toward the river. And most of them are within 100 foot of the road of
I
Campers
believe
Haven.
the parcels that the Robinsons own, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, it's
Is
that
this,
one, that one,
that one, that one,
and that one.
and that one.
And then there are 3 over on Campers Haven Road, but they're not asking for those to be rezoned.
Okay, these 3, and what, you say a hunting camp, what consists of the camp?
I think if you click on it, it'll show you the picture on the tax assessors. It's a small trailer.
It was there when they bought it, or they moved it in?
I don't know. It was there when I got into my office. I've never seen anything different. It's a small trailer, and they got an area of covered for parking the tractor and stuff, shed.
And we got involved because they asked for zoning, or what?
I didn't understand the question.
You got involved because they asked for this to be rezoned?
They asked to add services. And so when I went to add the services that they were requesting having to do with electric and stuff, we had to get an additional address. And the camp that they had there, I was like, what are you guys doing? They go, well, we're using this as hunting. We're not using it as residential. So it was a wrong use for the property. So that's what brought the question up.
To my end point of people hunt off of their personal houses. They hunt on the land no matter what it's zoned. But they were forced into changing zoning because of a comment they made to you for being there as a building inspector.
It had to do with the zoning specifically, not as the building.
You were there for building.
I was there to assign an address and for a
service.
structure that they have on another piece on further back in the property. And because they wanted to get services brought to it, and they have to have an address for EMC to bring the services back there. So there's another structure on the property. And there was no permitting in anywhere for the services that were put in our records. And it was a hunting camp. It was a temporary dwelling camper, temporary structure. And that's when I asked them, what was this for? I said, well, we just use this for hunting. I said, you don't know, this isn't going to be a primary residence. And they said, no. So that put my mind into the zoning side, that it's not a primary residence. It's being used as a different purpose. So that's what generated the question. It needs to be rezoned to agriculture. But agriculture does allow hunting camps, but residential doesn't.
What is the hunting club provision in zoning? Is that agricultural or commercial?
It's ag.
Hunting club, a public hunting club?
Yes, it's an ag. It doesn't say public, it just says hunting club.
Like for profit?
It doesn't say, it only says hunting. There's not a definition declared.
Is this property currently in conservation?
It is.
Is that your district?
Yeah. I realize we have a lot of people hunting on a lot less acreage than this right here. I can sit here and personally tell you that I have a stand, and I don't know the gentleman. He comes from out of town that hunts it within 200 feet of me. And he's allowed to hunt there, and there's a lot more acreage, but the deer had a tendency to come to my backyard, so he followed the deer with his stand, and of course it was on me because the farmer allows him, he probably gets a fee, I'm sure, to hunt that property, so I just took it on myself, you know. We're gonna have a problem with a high-powered rifle going off, you know, this close. And he says, well, when I get up here in this area, I'll bow hunt. I said, well, that makes me feel better, you know. It makes me feel better. I'm glad to say that, you know, I haven't had any problems. He hunts there regularly. He puts out corn, and his comment to me was, I like to see him probably more than I like to shoot him. But and I think that's the nature with a lot of people. But I don't see how we can control or try to control and do something to someone who is trying to do something in the right manner. I mean, if nothing had ever come up, the hunting would still go on, and I'm hearing you're not out there even the entire hunting season, you know. With what the work that the board has done, establishing a buffer, and everybody being on the same page with this, I think that's about as far as you can go with this. I mean, we can't police people hunting on 2 and 3 acres. I mean, you know, there's just no way to do it. And I'm sure you've got people poaching. I know that neighborhood. I lived down there for some time, and I know about what you hear during duck season. You hear a lot of shooting. Do you all duck hunt? Do you folks duck hunt? I know you got a lot of wetland in there. That's why I say that. And I haven't been on the property, but is the property thick? The growth it's not cut over and sparsely trees and.
A good bit of it is older mature trees. There's probably a 40-acre tract or so that was cut, I'm thinking around 7 years ago or so, and it's thick now. The trees are getting up pretty high, and it's thick. The only open place we have, well, the road system we can go through, but it's thick now. And it's going to get thicker because we're just going to let it grow naturally.
Well, I think our board is probably, I'm sure you had a lot of discussion on this. This is a first for me in 14 years, and you know, I think anybody that brought up a buffer zone is, you know, a great idea, you know, and have that understanding. What the one thing I keep hearing though is family, and you have one son, you say?
One son.
Lieutenant Colonel in the Army.
Colonel in the Army. Okay.
Lieutenant Colonel.
Does he live in Florida?
He lives in Florida,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
And it's his 3 sons, our grandsons.
Okay, so this is more than likely a continuation, a family thing, as you vest your time and energy and resources into it. I understand.
I'm just trying to see why we had to get involved. I mean, like, he was just trying to get electricity. And so he said it's gonna be a hunting lodge. But it actually, it ain't a hunting lodge, is it? It's just
It's a secondary home.
yeah. So why do we have to get involved? But, and I know that ain't got nothing to do with the zoning board and stuff, but I just don't see how you can stop somebody from hunting in their own property. I mean, not unless they're gonna make it a hunting lodge. Now, if you're gonna make it a hunting lodge, you might could say, no, we can't have a hunting lodge, but it's a family second home.
And right now,
I like to see it.
I think they going, you know, you hear firing and going off now. That's the way I see it. I don't see why I have to change it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How why you changing it to ag and they really, that's their own.
It's the issue.
Well,
Does the rezoning, let me ask this question, does the rezoning, would it require them to change any of your, is this in Cooper?
Used to have
Yes, it
planted
is.
pines on it. Is it in the planted pine program?
I don't believe that.
It's got pines on it, pine trees on it. I don't know if it's in the planted.
But it's in Cuba. It's in the conservation use.
Would the rezoning affect that?
Put it in the
No,
high challenge.
it
It
would
won't
not.
affect his taxes.
No.
It won't affect anything. It'll be exactly the same.
Which parcel is the gentleman talking about in his front yard?
Mr. Lord,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Lloyd, he's all the way at the end of Campers Haven. You go to where the, actually has a gated area that you can't go beyond. It's not, it says Clemens on there. So it's actually down further. Keep going.
Further south.
Yeah, that's where it is. So the Robinson's property is across the street, small parcel, part of a 60 acre.
That, which way?
Directly across the street from where
I'm trying to find Mr. Lord's.
his is further down yet. He's at the very end of it.
So,
Yeah, one of those two, but that's, now go up one is Robinson's. No, okay. He lives in the home that is part of that place. He doesn't own it. He lives in it, is my understanding, when I spoke to him. But that's the Robinson's property across the street there.
Oh, that's wetland right there.
It's all wetland.
I mean, that's already a buffer.
That's where the bullet went, the house next to it.
I don't know who did it though. I mean, that could have been, anybody could have did it.
well, what's the pleasure of the board? Or do we need any more discussion on it?
I'm done. I think I see the situation and but with the board set up as it is and the way this came about through discovery, I mean, it was nothing's changed. Nothing's changed, with the use of the property. And I don't know how you can tell somebody what they're gonna do. I mean, I don't know how the board could really say we want to establish this 150-foot buffer. I think that was a concession. Do y'all do food plots? Do you feed your deer and all?
We do.
I mean, you do that out in the bigger area of the property, where you literally can see them and you're not in the thickest. I understand. I've hunted a little bit, but so people use the deer plot to draw the deer out, and they're able to see them, and then they know what kind of deer herd they have. They know what they have on the property. But I can't sit here and go against the recommendation of a board that we have sitting in place that doesn't have a problem with this.
would they be willing to concede also that it's never a public hunting lodge?
Well, that was not brought up by the board, but is that a concession that you all would make?
Yes. That you would not allow?
Because all I hear is family, and when you say family, that runs deep.
Yes, it's not intended to do that at all.
Would y'all be agreeable to making that concession then, that as long as you own the property, you would never expand it to a commercial nature?
Yes, do that.
Absolutely.
And y'all were okay with a 150-foot buffer?
Yes.
And the statement I'm gonna make is we found out about a year ago, over some unpleasant odors in the county of, this is for the people, but anything concerned, talking of agriculture and harvesting deer is we can't restrict it. So you're really at the mercy of you're at them being good neighbors and giving the concessions they can, because we found with chicken litter that there's very little we can do in terms of with agriculture. So
Controlling what they do on their property.
that's right. If it's in an agricultural basis, it's conservation property, and you have a right to harvest and reduce populations. And so I appreciate them giving the concessions, and I hope that they become good neighbors to the community. So
All right.
We would love for you to build that second home in there and come more often.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
What does it's a trailer? What does it look like? Pull it up, can you? A picture of that. We got involved. They trying to power.
Electricity.
Electricity ain't never been there. Oh, I got you. That's the only reason we got involved.
Yeah, been
Then we
hunted.
changed. Then we
Been
changed
hunted.
it up.
It's been hunted ever since.
We did that, but who made the motion?
Nobody.
you-
I'm asking. I think we don't point out some
Yeah,
good stuff.
yeah. I think we.
I think I put it in
So the
there.
motion's gonna be
Yeah.
what, though, to change
Yeah.
it to, what's the motion?
change it to ag with the
To
two.
approve the rezoning request
Rezoning request.
Change.
with conditions, and you're gonna have to list the conditions, so we'd have it in the minutes. But we ain't made the motion yet.
All right, I would offer the motion that we approve it, based on the,
Or what's the conditions?
the recommendation, with the conditions that the buffer zone will be established,
The 150-foot buffer
150
zone.
foot, and it would be established, as recorded in the zoning meeting. And we would like to add the concession that the family, as long as they own the property,
No hunting club.
there would be no commercial nature as a hunting club.
You got that, Linda?
No, but get it off of here.
Okay.
Okay, we got a motion. I need to hit it. Yeah, I need to hit a second. Okay, the motion and second. Now, before we vote on it, anybody else got anything else you want to say in the discussion part of the motion? Before we,
Can we put it in somewhere, like if the property is ever sold, how would we say something like?
Would the zoning conditions stand?
If the
in
property
this
is sold,
area?
it will still stand.
I'm asking. If the property is transferred, do the zoning conditions stand?
The conditions that you're putting on the property go with the property. It doesn't go with the ownership. So
Then I would like to revise and take out, as long as they own it, I would like it just to be in with the. I don't know how she wrote it. I think he said as long as they own the property, but we're wanting the conditions to stick with the zoning of the property.
Yeah.
And the conditions are a 150-foot buffer zone and
No commercial.
no commercial hunting club. Is that the way y'all want it worded? Don't say one thing and mean something else. You gotta say what you mean, because we're going into minutes.
I think, I like what you just said, the bright, exactly.
Family only hunting club.
Yeah.
All right, now we change around now.
Stay away from club. I mean, period.
Okay,
It's
can
not
I
a
just
club.
get y'all to just state clearly what it is?
But then, okay, so Burke ain't here. Why? So we make, cause he's gonna have to defend this if anything ever come up. Do we need to run it by him, the wording of it before we? Okay, let's go with it then.
Whatever y'all want.
Yeah, okay.
How do y'all want it worded?
Yeah.
I hate to be picky, but this is,
Read what you got.
I'm scared because I know what I want.
I-
No, I know.
All right.
I want to draw.
They like Tony say, read what, let's hear it before we vote on it. Or we'll be going back and forth.
Let's see, approve the R2 zoning with a 150-foot buffer. And
they were proving it be rezoned from R2 to ag.
zone from R2 to ag. Okay. With a 150-foot buffer. Right,
And, yeah, and no commercial,
no commercial,
just in this case, no commercial hunting. And David was saying they don't have to go with the family, they can just go with the property.
Yeah, I hate to vote in muddy the water, but it just entered into my mind with that statement you made there. Why do they have to rezone?
Because of putting a hunting club on the,
You keep saying club.
that
I'm
was,
having a problem with that word.
but
club.
they're not declaring it as a resident. It's not declared as a residence on the tax records. It's a temporary housing and a temporary, so it's a club. That's the best thing we could follow. And there's not a clear avenue of what it is.
But
they're using it for the purposes of hunting.
Okay, but if they decide they're gonna come in there and build a second residence, then what you have to do?
It can be built in a agriculture area without a problem. A residence can. That would still meet what they need without having to change anything.
The negotiator in me is saying to the people in opposition, if you like the new neighbors and you trust the new neighbors to do, let them withdraw their zoning
But then
and make their own concessions, and if they sell it, then they have to come back to the table. That's the problem. However we word it, the new people, new owners can constrict and tear apart the way we word it, and then you might have somebody you don't like out there doing something you don't want them to do.
But by it being currently zoned R2,
As a secondary residence.
you can't put any structure out there that's a hunting club structure, not allowed in R2.
What is a hunting zone structure?
Hunting
House?
club,
I said, what does it look like?
A shop?
Is it like a house or?
I'm just saying,
I just, that's, I'm not gonna say what this is, but this is it. That this is us reaching out on something that these people could have reworded their sentence, and we would not be sitting here having the conversation.
possibly.
If they build a structure, then, you look at a R1. They build a house. I mean, I don't understand what a hunting camp structure is. I've seen RVs.
I agree. We're in a very vague area in our zoning ordinance.
Well, when you hang club on it, somebody's paying some money. I don't know of anybody that's coming in here and parking a camper on property that's hunting for free. I mean, they paying people for this. We see farmers all over the county doing it. I mean, and it's been a problem because of the club concept, and the number of campers.
I fear for the people in opposition that live out there of if they can trust them to make these concessions and do what they say they'll do, because if they ever sell it, whether by their choice or by force, they ever have to sell the property, you could be dealing with people that will come in and can misconstrue what we sit here and word today of doing. We've had this conversation of going to R2 stuff. Yes, that's the only zoning we have that permits a mobile home. But a bad actor could come in and pile it on in there. And that's We don't have the right zoning for this. We do not have the
That's
correct
right.
zoning.
The zoning we have is the zoning we
I
have
know,
right now.
but to make the change and restrict it and
That's
try to
what I said,
word
it
it
could be-
right,
Yeah,
we don't have the proper zoning to put in the
We
restrictions
already
that
got a motion
protect.
on the second. though.
yeah, but I'm, and again, I'm gonna say if we are in doubt, let's just Table it.
to Bert,
yeah, until we get some further clarity on it.
We have to take back their motion.
Did y'all vote on
We
it?
never did
No,
vote
we
on
never
it.
did.
It only was a
on the
motion.
second, though.
You got to grab motion and a
Yeah,
second.
vote on
You got to vote on it.
Hmm?
But
There's
can
a
we,
motion made, is it motions either got to be rescinded or voted on?
That's right. They can rescind their motions.
To Bert come next week. Or maybe-
Yeah.
What's y'all's question gonna be for him?
The wording. The wording.
So you want us to
I'm
define,
scared of how we say what we don't want them to do in terms of this hunting club. And it's not, it's, I'm scared we're missing an angle.
may I ask a question? On the zoning that we have in agricultural, it just says hunting club. It has no definition what a hunting club is, how it's used, where they're used, and capacity. Is that what you want the planning and zoning commissioners to do, is get a definition for that? And bring it back to you?
I thought we were looking at the entire zoning book. There's no reason to piecemeal that out if we're looking to rezone it.
We are looking at the entire book, and they are actually approaching this very question at our next meeting. The purpose of, we're running into this issue in multiple places. This is just one. That people are putting hunting clubs up.
But this isn't a club. You say that because they say they want to hunt in their backyard. This is a secondary house. They walk out and ride a trail and they shoot guns. This is not a club. They're not paying rent on this land like all the other clubs in the county.
The structure that is on the property is not defined as a house according to the buildings.
Is it a mobile home?
It's an office. It's a mobile office.
It's a modular building.
A mobile office that's been set up to stay in.
A modular building.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's not a residence, so that's
not
fine.
what I see at hunting clubs. That's not a hunting club structure.
Yes, ma'am.
But they have one as well.
I'm not quite sure why the club is why is it being called a club? We're not a club, we're a family that's hunting. So we're not technically a club, we're just wanting to hunt on our property.
That's the point I was making, not knowing really our zoning. That's why we have a board that does this stuff, and they get educated to the fact of, but that's what we're saying is, this really brings out that this zoning needs some attention, because this is not your traditional situation that we see when you hang the word club on this hunting. I mean, this is family. I've got 3 acres and I can walk out there and I can hunt anywhere I want to on my 3 acres. I can get on top of my house, and we got to do something that we're not holding y'all to a level that no one else is being held to. I mean, that's what I'm struggling with here. But we're also trying, thank goodness for Mr. Mixon, we're trying to look into the future for everyone else, all the neighbors and everyone involved. And we sitting here and we hate to miss something. Now, I think that's where we need to say, I mean, do we need to drop back and run this by the attorney with this verbiage we're trying to use in a motion to restrict future use?
Well, can we back up to the very beginning? What exactly, say again, what started this process?
They had contacted me about getting a second address on the property for another structure that they had built. It's a temporary structure. It's not even a proper built. It's on poles to get in and out of the weather. And And I was like, what's this for? And they go, well, because we hunt here. It's our hunting camp. And so I said, so this is for a hunting camp? And so that's where it all went from at that point. It's not a permanent structure. They have an RV they built underneath a container. They have a large area. They sit out in it. They built an enclosed-in area. Several things have been built. There's no permits for. They also had an outhouse that they dug in. They said that they would correct that because they don't have a sewage for it. And so it generated a lot of questions, and I was trying to make it fit in an R2. I couldn't do that under the definitions of what an R2 is with the structure that I had.
So that structure, take out the fact they said it was going to be hunting. Take out that structure is not allowed in R2.
A camper alone on an R2 as a dwelling without a primary residence, it doesn't say that you can't have it, but it say you can have it. So if you have an R2 residence, you can live in an RV on it or stay in an RV on it for any period of time. That's where, but again, there's not a clear definition, but we have led to, based on other homes that are out there, they're putting RVs down there and they were living out of the RV, and we had stopped them and said, no, you can't do that. It's an R2 area. You got to have a house and you can park your RV next to it. That was what we had set right down from them on Campers Haven there. We had stopped a fellow who had set up an RV and was putting in septic for it.
You set up an RV park.
No, an RV. They had one RV in there. What he was putting in, y'all had me put a stop work order on there. This is just in the recent past. Put a stop work order when it cease and desist because he was proceeding to clear the land just for an RV. He had no intention of putting a house on it. And y'all didn't allow it. Because it's an R2 area, it's residential, it's not for RVs only.
It was also in a flood zone.
Pardon me?
Also in a flood zone.
Also in a flood zone.
What structure? You said a structure on poles. I'm not. What is that structure? To cover what?
Cover the RV.
So was it permit to get the lights?
Yes.
They're trying to get the lights. Okay.
So what?
Or address.
Sound like both of
You
me.
got to have.
Well,
both
electricity
to get a
requires an
license.
address.
So at 489,
489 is one. There's another one back further in the woods.
there's another structure.
That's why I pointed at it.
So we're gonna rescind the motion or we're just gonna vote?
Yeah, that's what, yeah. With the pleasure of the board. Or we got the motion in the second. Now, how do we vote on it? No. Really, truly, at this point, I'm sort of confused how to do it. I mean, the motion. Okay, now,
When the motion is made and seconded, you call for a vote or the person that made it and seconded rescind the motion. That's the options right now.
well, what if nobody don't vote on it? Well, I know the one that, well, I'm trying to see how we can move it.
Let me rescind the motion.
Do you agree to rescind the motion, Mr.
I
Crawford?
rescind the second.
You rescind the second? Okay.
And I want our attorney, give him an opportunity to lead us. And, you know, we may be opening up some things that the board, basically, the zoning board did not touch on. And let's come back with it in the right way so that everybody's fine. We want to protect the folks that's already there. We want to protect these people's right to use their property and enjoy it for years to come and hopefully grow with us. And
We're in uncharted water.
but this zoning's tough and for us especially when we're such a heavy agricultural community. And we're seeing over and over and over areas that our zoning is addressing, areas that really shouldn't be addressed that way. I mean, right now, we're trying to remove, what is it, the wildlife designation?
Correct.
It's in some areas that just ties your hands where you can't do anything. And he may not have the answers, but I think he can make us feel better as far as looking at what we have, and he will understand what we're trying to accomplish. We want to help this family enjoy their property, but we want to protect their neighbors and them be okay. Because if I would feel better knowing who's there hunting than a situation like it's been over the years where you didn't have a clue who was out there hunting. I mean, a few years ago when I was down there, they called folks out there, deer hunting was not at its point like it is now, but they called locals out there wearing miner lamps at night, stalking deer. You know, so you can just, we want to do the best we
I know
can
we
with
need to move
this.
on.
So is there a motion to table this till our next meeting?
Okay, we're gonna have to have,
You rescinded the motion. and the
They
second.
presented the original
I'll make a
motion.
motion that we table this to the next meeting, Mr. Chairman.
okay,
That's it.
okay,
Are they currently restricted of any use out there?
It's an R2 district, so they have to stay within the guidelines of R2.
all right, the motion and second. All in favor to table it, all in favor by the show of hand? Okay, we're gonna table it to the end.
Are they currently restricted as being able to hunt out there?
No,
You doing it? No.
I don't know.
Okay, we'll move on with Steve.
all right,
Thank you.
You need to tell them.
you don't think so? Okay, we got a public hearing scheduled for the 2024 millage rate, which is item number 7. So we'll open, it is, number 7. It is 10:17. We'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody here to comment on the proposed millage rate for 2024? The proposed millage rate for the Board of Commissioners would be 17.45 mills, which is the same millage rate as last year. And the proposed millage rate for the Board of Education is 16.404 mills, which is the same as last year. Is anybody here to comment on the proposed millage rate? Going once. Going twice. Okay. We will close the public hearing. And then the floor is open for a motion to approve the millage rate for 2024.
Oh, the motion to approve the millage rate
That's
as
it.
advertised.
That's it.
Okay, it has been motioned and second. Do we have any other discussion on it before we vote on it? If not, all in favor by the show of hand? Mr. Steve, that motion carries.
I need to get the chairman's signature before I forget it. I'm bad about letting you get out of here before I get your signature on.
We need this one signed.
What?
Oh,
We need this one
I
signed.
ain't got to worry about signing because my pen won't work this morning.
I'll make sure you got it. When it works, we'll do it.
I looked over there at the secretary and want to know why my pen, it must be for a reason.
That's the actual tax levy that has to be submitted. This is a form the state requires. We're certifying the millage rate for the Board of Commissioners and Board of Education. If you would just sign on that line right there.
Why did he bring that up? Oh, he need to be lost.
And then this is the form that the state requires that showing how we computed the millage rate. Right there on that line right there, please, sir.
And I have people
Uh-oh.
be shooting at me all the time. I'm saying,
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
go shoot my wife.
Mr. Steve, I bet you won't let her get no good pen, man.
You can.
That's the second one this morning. That's the second one.
Please throw that one in the garbage can, Steve.
That one, and
So
you see, I got two
that one
here.
in.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no.
We want to deduct from the raise.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I see all the pictures you had of big old deer coming on your property, yeah.
I wish somebody come by my house, man. So 2 this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get so sick of them after every night I go home. I got to dodge them, man.
The deers.
Yeah, yeah, I'm there, and then early in the morning time.
Be careful.
Yeah.
It's October.
I got.
That's when the season come here, October.
They got my truck back. Get hit it again on this other side. Got it. Well, I ain't take the hair out.
One more signature, Mr. Chairman.
Let them hold good
They
pen.
want to know who he was, Steve.
You got to open it.
They want to
So
know.
that was the financial officer for Board of Education.
Okay.
Christopher Stevens.
Oh, okay. You didn't know him?
You work with my wife every day, I ain't know.
You don't know who, what was your wife?
No.
I just kidding.
Okay, the only other thing on the agenda, Mr. Chairman, do y'all want to go through that proposed agreement with Waste Management today, or you want to do that later? I just highlighted a few things that,
Hey, Friday, tell them, no.
that's up to y'all, that's perfectly fine, if that's what y'all want to do.
That's the only thing you
That's
gotta
all,
let
the
me
only thing left,
Didn't you say you was gonna have Bert look at it?
yes.
Do we have anything else, anybody else want to be on the agenda tonight?
No, sir.
Just got visitors, okay. Well, Mr. Chairman, if that's all we have on, on the agenda, I make a motion that we adjourn.
That's it.
There has been motion in a second. Do we have any discussion on the adjournment before we get up out of here? If not, all in favor, please stand up and left.